And here we are. I've got my Nighthawk and my Blackbird set up just like you saw. I've got my Stormborns on my hip and I got my knife on the hip. So we're going to go over here now and set up camp. Now like I said, this is a place I've been to before. I know where I'm doing. It's just to do an overnight right quick. So the first thing we're going to do is going to clean out the site, because right now it is about to be summer and it's mating season for all the snakes down here in Alabama. And so they are crawling, they are looking for love. And so they're moving around, especially right at twilight, trying to find a mate and something to eat and etc. So I want to get rid of all this leaf debris underneath my feet, underneath that hammock, because a copperhead blends in perfectly. So when I first come up, I'm going to set my pack down and I'm going to start doing the fire dance and clear out up under my area, as well as clear out my fire pit for fire safety. Because whenever I go to get up in the morning or tonight to answer nature's call, I'm going to roll over and shine light down first and make sure I ain't got something under me. Remember, I'm under a nice tent. I'm in a hammock. Many years ago, I rolled out to answer nature's call one time, stepped out and walked out there and took care of business. When I turned around and looked back, there was a nice big timber rattler laying directly underneath my hammock. So I had literally stepped within a foot of him when I got up and never knew it. So I always roll over and look down before I swing my feet out for that first time. They can't hide. I'm not going to leave them anything down there to get in or on, like leaving boots or leaving a pack down there. All that's going to be up and secured. But I want to make sure that when I roll over and look, I got clear earth and at least room that if there is one there, I can maneuver around it. That's the goal. So let's get over here and let's get started. And here's where I'm going to set up my camp. I'm going to go from this tree right here to this tree right here. This diagonal right here. And I'll put my fire right out here in front of me. I've surveyed and looked. I got no widow makers, etc. I just need to remove this leaf litter. I don't have a big area of wildlife. None of my 5Ws are going to be a problem right there. So I'm going to set up there. First thing we're going to do is we're going to clean out this area. So let me get that done and I'll be back with you. Whew, that takes a minute. Okay. We are cleaned out. Whew. Now, let's put up the hammock. Usually I'd put up tarp first, but due to the fact that I'm going to set up the hammock to be able to sit, enjoy the fire with, etc., I want to put it up first, and then I'll adjust my tarp to fit that. Then come up, double a loop, go back, put through. This first one's kind of loose so that I can adjust. Now take and pull out the other end. Go to this end. Make sure my hammock isn't twisted. Okay, now pull it up tight. be able to sit in it and enjoy my fire. So I want it to be able to, you know, be able to float a little bit. Okay. Okay, now let me put you in and show you how I'm going to put my sidearm in the hammock. Might as well go ahead and set up now because I'm about to be staying in camp. No, you're right. I got to go get water. So let's just go ahead and we'll dig the well I talked about. Now, here's going to be my tent. Right here is going to be my fire pit. I got nothing over me. It's wide open to the top, and I will kick back even more around here. So let's say right about here, I'm going to dig my well. And for that, I'll get you over here with the camera on the camera a little bit better. I'll use my kukri. Alright, right about here. I'll make a circle a little bit bigger, something about like a kitchen, bathroom sink. Kukri does good for this. Cut them roots. Start digging. I'm going to move my pack because I'm going to wipe the dirt over here to be, this will become the mound that my fire's on, and this will be the hole that the water's going to go in. This is going to take a little bit, so I'll be back with you in a couple minutes. I don't need a big fire, but I do need to make sure when I do this, I don't leave any sharp roots sticking up, because that will poke a hole in the bag, and we don't want that. Alright, that should be big enough. Again, making sure ain't no sharp edges. Gonna stick it. If it is, double it over and stick it back the other way. And this right here is where I'm gonna put my fire, on top of this. It's not going to be a cooking fire, it's just going to be a light fire for the night. Cut that down. There we go. Now, we got the well dug. Okay. Whew. Like he's getting old. I got the well dug, and don't worry, it didn't hurt that kukri at all. That kukri is just as sharp right now as when it started. This is a very tough kukri. So, put that back. Now reaching down, into the sack, I pull out that bag, remember? This is a big bag. So what I'm going to do, fold it again, put it down in that hole to line that hole. Now I'll use a little bit of that dirt to hold the bag in place. Bug protection. Alright, now take a look at it lined. See, there's my well, and that's where my fire is going to be, right up there. Now I'm going to dump everything out of my Blackbird, and I'm going to walk down yonder to the water source and fill it up and come back and pour this in. It should hold 1, 2, maybe 3 trips. So I'll be back in a minute and I'll fill up the well, and then I'll hang the haversack up to dry. So I'll be right back. That is 1 full haversack of water right there. And yeah, I know there's a little bit of stuff floating in it, etc. But I'm going to just dip out of that. See, that's going to be filtered with my grill for drinking water and any kind of cooking water other than just boiling. But instead of me having to walk the distance down yonder, I've carried it up here. Now just hang this up and let it dry. It won't take long to dry. Turn it upside down. Make sure there ain't no water left in it. Shake it real good. And we're just going to go over here to a tree, and I'm going to hang it up and let it air dry. I took the contents and I put into my Nighthawk, so this can afford the time to dry. And the top pocket still dry on the inside. I kept it zipped up, so it's fine. Now we hang it up and we let it dry. Now I'll show you how to put the sidearm in the hammock while the light's still going, because now I am in camp. I'm going to build my fire, I'm going to cook my meal, I'm going to sit up here, and I'm going to be here. So let me set that up right quick. Okay, this is going to be the head of the hammock up here, and on the ridge line of this hammock you have this little bitty prusik that once you pull it back and forth, it locks in place onto that Dyneema ridge line. So I can put it on there and it's going to stay in position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a soft shackle, and I'm going to go through that, and I'm going to come back through just like this. I'm going to cinch it down. Now I'm going to take my holster that's got my sidearm in it, and I want it facing straight up. So when I'm laying on my back, when I reach up and grab down and grab it, the safety loop right there will keep it in the holster. But I don't want this sliding down the ridge line, potentially me getting up there in the night and bonking my head. So I want it to hang further up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bushcraft twist tie right here. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to go around the ridge line. Open it up. Force that knot through. Just like this, and give her a twist. Now I'm going to take this end, I'm going to wedge it onto it tight, and I'm going to take this and run it up here in the top. As you can see, it balances like that. Now whenever I'm bumping around, it don't slide down because that prusik knot bites in. I've got it pulled to where it wants to lock it in place. The loop's going to keep the gun from coming out, and my head will be down here below it. That way, should something come up during the night, I can just reach over my head and grab a hold of it and get it out without having to get up and hunt. Now, if I was going to be using a long gun, I would put it outside or hanging on the ridge line of my tarp so that I could reach up and get to it. The problem with that is this has got a zip-on mosquito net, so once I'm in it, I'm zipped up, and I have to unzip to reach something. So if I was going to have a long gun, it'd be where I could get out of this quickly and get to it in case I needed it. Now, 9 times out of 10, if you hear something out there, it has no interest in you whatsoever. And I have learned in my experience that if you woke up by something out there, start talking. Hey there, what you doing, what you doing, what you doing? You know, some crap like that. Just start singing or whatever. And usually once they acknowledge, oh, there's a human over here, they move on. Don't be loud unless you got to. Just start out kind of low. Hey, what you doing, what you doing? My granddad would do that. What you doing, what you doing, what you doing? And they would just drift away. So if it's a deer, a coon, or whatever, no problem. If it don't drift away, then it would probably be a good idea to take a hold of something like this, get your light ready. And what I typically like to do is flip the light on. If it is something like a big boar or something like that that could potentially be, I want to spook him off. He's far enough away that I'm not in absolute immediate. He's not right here. He's over there 20, 30 yards. A good old rebel yell at the top of your lungs in the middle of the night scares most anything. They'll take off, which is the idea. Don't have to engage them, don't have to have a problem, just spook them. On the other hand, if they're just being aggressive, then you have to do something about it. I don't want to do that. I'm trying to avoid that. I'm just trying to be responsible. Same time, I don't want to be a burrito for a bear. So, the fact that the river right down that way, about 2 miles, in April had a bear on it, it just makes sense to take a little precaution. That's all. Now, let me get my tarp hung up now that I've got my hammock up. Okay, now I've got my tarp up, and I've staked the back, but I've not staked the front because I won't stake the front until time to go to bed, because I want my hammock to be open toward my fire pit so I can sit and enjoy my fire. But at the same time, when it's time to go to bed, I'll let my fire die out. I'll take a little water out of the well and make sure it's fully out, and then I'll pull out and put my 2 tent stakes already attached. I went and did like I've showed. This is my setup as a quick deploy. I deployed the tarp right quick with the ridge line, and then I hooked my tent stakes that's already got the guy line attached to it and just ran it through the loop so it'll stay on there. Now when I flip it back like this, it will hang back here behind me and not be in the way, but at the same time, I don't have to worry about it, because see, it's hanging on its connections on the prusik knots in my ridge line up here to throw over. So now I can sit in my hammock and enjoy my campfire to the front without having, you know, this tarp in the way. Plus I don't want any sparks to get on a cell nylon tarp. It's got to be back over here. So my fire is going to be a good 8 or 9 feet away just to prevent that. Now, speaking of, whew, it's hot and humid. Blackie's sweating like a pig. What I'm going to do now, well, I'm going to take a rag off camera, I'm going to dunk it in that water, and I'm going to clean up a little bit and get some sweat off of me, because it's the end of the day. So now's the time to do it. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dig out my supper for tonight. And what I'm going to do is have my bush pot, and I'm going to heat up one of that MRE to try it out. So to do that, I probably am going to use the fire to do that. I did bring a Trangia just in case. In case inclement weather, I'd be set. Yes, I got that FRH. And you know, since this is a brand new case of MREs, I don't know if those FRHs are going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up for the FRH, the flameless ration heater. If it works, great. If it don't work, I'll slap the bush pot onto the fire, bring it to a boil, and cook it. Sound fair? Let me get set up. Okay, tonight's meal is going to be penne with vegetable sausage, crumbles, and spicy tomato sauce. Haven't tried one of these yet, so we're about to find out. Now what you're hearing in the background is the shooting range right over the hill. I'm part of this shooting club, and where I'm at is the primitive camping area. I come down here and do videos quite often, as you know, because it's just a handy place for me to come close to home, a lot better. I enjoy going out to the lake. The lake's 45-minute drive, and it's worth it when I'm doing several videos back to back fairly closely, you know, but it's not when I just got an idea and I need to do a video quick. Alright, my main. We have strawberry jam. I know what it's going to be for breakfast. We have a hunk of pound cake. So pound cake and strawberry jelly is for breakfast. We have 2 strawberries, and we're going to be cooking. There's our FRH. We got a moist towelette. Those will come in handy. Chewing gum. Never use it. The all-important spoon. A thing of seasoning peppers. Haven't seen them. And then a hunk of, I believe this is bread. Yeah, French toast. Filled French toast. Well, that might be breakfast in the morning. Ain't no crackers. I may have mistaken that hunk of bread. So I guess the bread's supposed to go to the panante, and the French toast with strawberry is supposed to be for breakfast. Sounds pretty good. So we're going to take out the cardboard sleeve, and that, the FRH. We're going to put the filled French toast. We'll save that for breakfast. And the other strawberry jam. We'll put that back in the pack, and that'll be breakfast. Now we'll take this, add a little water to it from our well over here, and get it cooking. Yeah, I could use my grail water, but that's potable, ready to drink right now. This is just heating water, so I'll use that well water. It makes life a whole lot easier. Now I've had real hit and misses with these FRHs. I really have. I have seen them where they worked really, really good, and I've seen them where they didn't work at all. So, keeping all the garbage picked up, we're going to slide our main meal in. Now if this one don't work, like I said, I brought my bush pot, and I'll just add a little bit of water to that bush pot, get my fire going, which is what I'm planning on doing as soon as I get done eating anyway. Now, you're not supposed to bend up that edge. Well, we're having technical difficulties. We shall be back in a moment. Okay, we got it in there. And we're letting the water to the element side slosh back and forth to make sure that element gets wet. Nope, we have a dud. Last reason we bring a bush pot. So let me get my fire going and we'll put the bush pot on it. Looking around for fire stuff, check out this cool hunk of fat wood, very top of a tree. That was originally like that up there, and there's a core of a bigger tree that's all rotted away and left that. Ain't that cool? Well, I got the fire going now. As you can see, and I have went ahead and dug out my little Trangia, and I've got it running with my chow in it to heat up. That way I don't have to waste so much time. Yeah, I can put it on the fire, and I can. But it's just one of them things where this is so convenient and easy. And we're coming out here to smooth it, not rough it. Now in a little bit, I'm going to have to dig out my other tripod and my battery powered light. Whoops. My bread and my spoon. I'll have to dig out my battery powered tripod and my other light so that I can be able to film at night. We're going to try this. I don't know how it's going to work. And many of you have asked over the years, Blackie, why don't you do an overnight? Let's do an overnight. When I go on overnights, I'm going for me, you know, and hauling 2 tripods, 3 cameras, a big old huge battery pack to power the light source so we can talk at night. Yeah, it's not exactly the fun end. But we're going to try it, you know. But as you can see, let's review. I've cleaned out my campsite. I set it up. I've got my sidearm hooked up at my head. I've got my pillow, which is going to be my clean clothes. I've got my poncho liner laying right here ready for me to put over me tonight. I will zip in this whenever the mosquitoes get bad after a while. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to sit by the fire and talk a little bit while my chow is heating up. Now as good a time as any. And then hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit. But once it gets, there's just so many mosquitoes, it's no fun anymore. I will make sure my fire goes out, and I will dip water out of my well to put my fire out. I will bring my tarp back over, anchor it in its 2 places, get inside my mosquito net, and lay back. I'm going to try to put the zip up on either side of the camera on the tripod side of it so I can still talk to you. We're going to see. Going camping in the summer can be very challenging down here in the south because there's just no air moving unless you got some sort of weather front coming on. Right now there's not a lick of breeze in this woods, and it's a cool time. It's only about in the mid 80s right now, or was in mid 80s. It's probably dropped down now to the mid 70s, but I'm 10 feet from that fire and I can feel the heat off of it right now. So it's still, even though we're trying to, you know, get out here and enjoy it, it's already pretty hot right now. Me digging the well and everything, I'm sweating. And so these clothes will probably not be slept in. I'll probably sleep in these clothes right here. And this will be rolled up and turned into my pillow tonight. Usually whenever we were hiking and camping in the summertime, we carried 2 sets of clothes. One was the bone dry sleep clothes. And it was usually something like a real light pair of pajama pants or something, and a t-shirt and a clean pair of socks. And then we'd have an extra pair of socks, and then they would be the clothes that we would wear all day. And that was the ones we started calling the Erky. E-R-K-K-A, Erky. And because they were sweaty, they were nasty, they smelled. And if we got an opportunity at camp, we'd wash them. We'd dunk them in the creek, wring them out, hang them up in a breeze if we had a breeze and let them dry, or put them on the far side of the fire and let the fire dry them out while we were wearing our clean dry set. But we never took off our Erky stuff until the sun went down, because you're going to be sweating. And immediately right after the sun goes down, oh man, there's just not a breath of air, and sweat is just boiling out of you, man. And if you haven't got someplace where there's a breeze, you endure it. You're not enjoying, you're enduring at that point. And so you go through it, and then say it depends, 9 o'clock, something like that, there'll be this little bit of cool. That's where a thermocline, where the sun's been heating the ground all day, And so right after sunset, the heat's radiating the ground's radiating that heat back up, and you're just sitting in an oven. It gets a point where it kind of cools off and you feel a little cool breeze work in. That's whenever we would do our little whore bath, change into our dry clothes, put our irky clothes as a pillow or put them up to dry, and we'd be ready for bed then. Till then, it wasn't worth it because your clothes would be sopping wet with sweat before it was time to go to bed. We tried to keep those clothes dry so that we could sleep comfortably, because you don't think about it, but you're sweating out salt, and that causes chafing, that causes everything. And so you're trying to sleep in a sopping wet shirt, and it just chafes you in the armpits, it chafes you in the groin, it chafes you around the back of the neck, because it's the salt that you sweated all day in that material is rubbing up against you like sandpaper. And until you rinse it out, it's just going to be there. So we learned early on how to keep our selves relatively cool at night and relatively clean. Okay, let me stoke up the fire a little bit, and I'll get my light set up so that we can talk after dark. Be back with you in a minute. Pathfinder Trine G in a Pathfinder 1-quart pot with an MRE heating up. We'll see how this one tastes. And there is camp for the night. Okay, we have one panay, nice and hot. Almost too hot to hold, but we'll be all right. Tried the bread, and the bread's actually pretty good. A lot better than it used to be. So, of course, we're going to collect up all our garbage. Now, I remember when piping hot, baby, piping hot. You got a notch up here in the side to open it up like a bowl. I remember when these first came out, as far as MREs, and we had always been eating sea rations. You could still get them in surplus, and I can remember getting cases of them for cheap and having a really good thing to carry camping. There were things we wouldn't touch though. There was ham and eggs chopped. We called it vomit in a can. The best thing was the peaches and pound cake. You'd combine them and make like a dump out of it, or a cobbler. There was spaghetti. There were several other things in it. Well, it's not bad. I would not call it the greatest thing I've ever eaten, but it kind of tastes like pizza. If you weren't to tell me and just to hand me this and name what it is, I would say it tastes like pizza. So, but now I bought this case of soft pack MREs We know that the FRHs ain't no good, but this one pretty good, and there's 16 meals in a case, so that's going to be a lot of camping. And yes, I could have cooked. I've got the stuff in my kit to make biscuits or whatever, but it's hot right now, guys. And I don't want to have to work on that fire more than I have to. I want it for light tonight and to keep the bugs away. But most part, a lot of times when I go during the summer, I won't even run a fire unless it's really necessary. I'll do a quick fire to heat up chow like this. And after that, I'll let the fire go out. I'll get in my hammock and sit there and listen to nature. I found you'll hear more of wildlife, see more wildlife if you just get in a hammock and be quiet. It's a great way to observe during the day. It's simply to set it up in a good place looking at a trail. Animals don't look at a person in a hammock as a person. You kind of fool them a little bit. Especially if you're kind of camouflaged and you got something over your face so they don't see your face real well. Many times I've got in my open hammock and just put my hat down over my eyes where I can see out from under it, and I've had deer walk up just a couple of feet from me. I've had them come up and sniff my foot before, trying to figure out what I was. All in all, yeah, I'd say the penne, yeah. The penne with sausage crumbles and everything and spicy sauce. It's pizza. Tastes like a calzone. And boy, have they improved. When they first brought out the MREs, and it was true of the sea rations too, you weren't supposed to be eating sea rations in the military more than just a day or two here or there. Then you get hot meals. That was the idea. And then Desert One came up and you had guys that were, that's all they could get for weeks at a time. And soldiers went to refusing to eat it and went to losing weight like crazy. So much that guys were being brought out of combat because they had lost too much weight. So people, so they got real big on getting with the manufacturer to come up with something else. Come on, change the flavors, change up the menu, do something. And that's when they started issuing out better MREs. Because quite often, if it said complete nutrition, you knew it was going to taste like garbage. I know combat Marines that were carrying cans of SpaghettiOs, stuff like that in combat, sacrificing other things to be able to carry that because they were just so sick of the meals they were given that they had to have something else. Now today you got the dehydrated meals. Those are nice. And a lot of people like them, and they are good. Not as many menus, but they're all mostly pretty good. The one thing you just got to remember is you need to be able to build a fire to heat it up. So I always recommend having something like this as a backup. Because when I was coming out here, I had thought, you know, it'd be cool to get on camera and I'll go ahead and make me a biscuit up or whatever. A little too hot for that right now. And yes, I could do it. But in doing so, I'd be wringing with sweat by the time I was done working around a fire, because you got to use coals and you got to build up a fire, get a bed of coals, make up, either make a reflector oven or use the BUSHPOT as one. Whereas this, I set on that little Trangia fired it up, went about stoking up the fire and doing other stuff around camp. 10 minutes, it was hot chow. And what if it turned to inclement? What if it went to storming right now? And I hadn't eaten all day, and man, I am hungry. I need something in my pack I can pull out and eat that doesn't require cooking. And I've got stuff right now with me for that. Same time being able to have a hot meal. Now, temperature tonight's going to drop down, they said about 62. That'll be fine. I'm a warm sleeper. As long as I got a meal with some good calories in it, like this, drink plenty of water, I'll be warm. I don't have to worry about it. It'll be actually very pleasant out here then. And if I didn't say so, excuse me for eating in front of you. I don't mean to be rude. But light's failing fast, and I can hear the bugs. Mosquitoes are starting to show up pretty quickly. I need to get this eat, get my little bath done, and I'm probably just going to lay down and zip up. And before I turn in, before I change clothes, I'll turn the camera back on and we'll talk about my setup inside the hammock, how I run the inside of the hammock for tonight. And I'll leave the camera sitting right here. So should something come up during the night, I'll turn the camera on. You might not get to see it, but you'll get to hear it. So. Okay. I'm going to get some more firewood. I'm going to set my light up. I already got it over here. I got to turn it on. Get it going. I'm going to kick back and relax as soon as I finish this. And then as soon as it gets good and dark, I'll turn the light back on. And we'll camera back on. We'll use the light a little and we'll talk a little bit more before I get ready for bed. So, I'll be back in a minute. For me, it may be 30 minutes. For you, it's 3, 2, 1. Okay, getting ready for bed. I got my woobie. There's my boots hanging on that cabiner I showed you earlier, hooked up on the ridge line. There's the camera and stuff on the outside. Here I am. There is my sidearm up there should I need it. And here am I. I've already got my changed clothes on. And I got my Urky ones have now become the pillow. So we're ready for the night. So, I'll see you in the morning, guys. Well, good morning. It is 64 degrees and it is 5:59 in the morning. Yeah, slept well. But I forgot to bring my toboggan. I always put a toboggan on, keep your head warm, and it also keeps me from being woke up early from the sunlight, because I'm one of them that I can sleep through kids screaming, but I need darkness. If I get in light, I wake up. So, I promised Miss Blackie that I would be home by 8 o'clock. And so I've got to get up now and get everything broke down. And then I think I'm going to munch on some that stuffed French toast with strawberry jam. I'm betting it's got syrup in it. So it's probably going to be like a cake-like bread with syrup in it is what I'm betting. But anyway, we're going to call it, excuse me guys, yeah, we're going to call it good for this video. This is going to be a long video. I apologize for that. But the date is the 31st of May, so I have successfully camped out once every month thus far this year. And so now it's to just get up and get going. Now, they're not predicting rain, but I'm going to tell you, my right shoulder and my other joints are hurting. And I'm smelling dampness. So I'm going to get up and get broke down before things get possibly decide to get a little damp. And get back to the house so that Miss Blackie can have the vehicle to go to her work and do the other things she's got to do. So, guys, thank you very much for the support. Thank you for following me this far. And thank you for everything you do for my channel. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys. Grab a hold of the bag. Shake it out. Now we got a mud puddle. Now we take and rake all the ash and what's left from last night's campfire into the mud puddle like this, and just rake everything back in so we don't leave a fire ring. Thus, turn it the way that we found it.